Hey there YouTube, Classic Reviewer here, back again with another one of my favorite childhood nostalgia movies. Today I'll be reviewing my personal favorite, all-time favorite DreamWorks movie. This is a 2002 DreamWorks movie, and yeah, it's just a movie that I absolutely love and adore. It's a movie about freedom, independence, and yeah, it's set in the Wild West of America, so like cowboys, Indians, that sort of thing. But with a very amazing and surprising twist. In the fact that, it's not like your typical Western tale like told from a cowboy or an Indian's perspective. It's actually told from the perspective of a horse, believe it or not, played by Matt Damon. All right, I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna show you guys the movie. It is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Such an amazing movie. I love this movie. Matt Damon plays the main character of the horse here, who I suppose his actual name is Spirit, but the name's only given to him right at the end of the movie by this Indian here called Lil Creek. Yep. And I'll just quickly show this off. I actually brought this only a few days ago, so yeah, being really excited to show you guys and do a review on this for ages, but I just haven't had the movie, and yeah. So basically the movie is about the horse, played by Matt Damon, Spirit. And yeah, it goes through pretty much from his beginning, from birth to, well, let's just see where the adventure takes us. So at the beginning, he's born, not much happens, he grows up, and the story essentially starts pretty much when he's an when he's adult. Yes, a giant time jump there, but the main focus of the story starts from when he's an adult and he's a leader of his own family herd, basically. Yeah, and it's up to him to keep the herd safe. So one night he basically sees this thing that he's never seen before and goes out to investigate it. It turns out to be a human settlement. So by human settlement I mean American soldiers. I think it's pre Civil War, maybe. I'm not too sure on those details, but anyway, so he goes to investigate and accidentally wakes the group of Americans up. So they, seeing the beauty of and majesty of the horse, they basically try to capture the horse, and it leads them on quite an ensuing chase. Basically traveling back to its own herd, but it's not until the horse gets back to not until Spirit, sorry, I'll just call him Spirit from now on. Spirit gets back to his herd that he realizes the danger he's put them in, and so he warns them away. But in doing so, he ends up getting captured by the Americans and is forced to sacrifice himself to save his herd. Basically, being captured in that. So the Americans take him back to their stronghold where they try to essentially break him so that they can train him and discipline him into being one of their army horses, pretty much, cavalry horses. But Spirit, as the name suggests, he's all about free will and, not basically you can't control me, so he just makes their life hell for the next week or so. So they try to discipline him, like, in all different ways, like starving him, and, basically, like, just pretty much demeaning him at this point. After a few days, they capture this little Indian, who I'll show you again is here, Little Creek. The Americans capture him and basically tie him up, no food or water, 3 days, in the hopes that he'll spill information for food, water, and what have you. But basically, the next day, Spirit and Little Creek are able to escape the compound through teamwork and just, yeah, both of them wanting to get away. Spirit, who at this point thinks he's free to return back to his herd. Unfortunately, Little Creek and the other Indians decide to, try and bring him into their own herd because... Oh yeah, and by the way, I guess you could say, this movie is pretty much narrated because you don't actually, like, see Spirit, like, mouth talking like I am right now, or how you'd normally see people communicate in a movie. It's more of, like, we can hear his thoughts, so he still acts like a normal horse, but he's narrating the movie through his own thoughts, because the movie's basically taken from his own perspective. So the people still talk normally, this, that, and the other. The Indians, speak English because movies in English, but yeah, just throwing that out there so you don't have any weird any animal talking, because so yeah, it's not like Shrek where you've got talking donkeys or ogres or this and the other. No, the horse doesn't technically speak. We're just hearing his thoughts as he watches the world go around him, pretty much. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, back to where I was. So the Indians take Spirit back to their little encampment, and basically, along the way, Spirit meets Little Creek's horse, a mare who I don't even think they bother giving her a name, to be honest, which a little annoying, but anyway, she's basically there to teach Spirit the ways of the Indians and basically try and sell him on the idea of being accepted as an Indian pack horse. Again, we don't hear her thoughts because we're basically inside Spirit's head, watching from a third, dimensional angle. Like, it's a little messy, but when you watch the movie, which I very highly recommend, you will understand exactly what I mean. So, pretty much, time goes by, and these two start to bond. They do, bond, basically spending time with each other and just, getting to know each other. And, short time later, the American soldiers attack the Indian encampment and completely destroy it, wreck it, because they're just trying to tame the West, and basically, colonize the entirety of America. And so Spirit and this mare get knocked down a waterfall during the fight. The fight they do, and essentially it's just first of all they go along a creek and then, river, creek, whatever, and then at the end of it is a giant waterfall which they end up falling over as Spirit tries to rescue the mare from the water but doesn't quite succeed. So basically, like, Spirit drags them both onto the shore, and the Americans manage to find them, they do, and once again recapture Spirit, they do. Too weak, realistically, to defend himself or the mayor. He's basically dragged away from her because, well, they don't take her because she, I think, breaks a leg in the fall. Yeah, breaks a leg in the fall, and so basically they can't see any use for her whatsoever, so they just leave her basically to die. But Little Creek, who's been watching from a distance, comes up, takes her back to what's left of the encampment, and leaves her with the village healers, basically, like, to heal her up, get her back and sorted, and then goes chasing after Spirit, who's been taken. Sorry, guys. Who's basically been taken on this transport freight train to basically where this to where the end of the line is, because the Americans' ultimate goal is to essentially build a train line. Build a train line from Washington to somewhere else on the other side of the country. I can't quite remember. But yeah, so essentially for that, to pull the train up the rest of the way, they need a lot of horses. So the Americans are gathering up horses wherever, training them, disciplining them, and then sending them out to the railway to help in its construction and its movement. So basically too tired and too emotionally damaged to do anything, like too traumatized, Spirit just basically, just goes along with the rest until it gets to the point where he crests a hill, and he sees in the distance that the train line is heading directly for where his herd and home are, like, suddenly realizing that danger. Spirit basically concocts this plan in which to pretend to be dead, like fall over from exhaustion, heat, the lack of water, which, and yeah, and as the Americans move him out of line and what have you, he basically comes back to life and just knocks the restraints off all the other horses, so the other horses can run free. They can, and in doing this, because the train's still, it's still like that, just at the top of the hill, it starts to fall backwards. It falls down a hill and basically causes this explosion when it hits the bottom, which starts this massive fire, because they're still technically in this little, giant wooded forested area. They are, so everything just catches up on fire. It does, and as Spirit tries to escape the flames, he jumps over this log, but because he's still got his chain attached around his neck, the chain gets caught up on a branch on the other side of the log, so he's basically pinned there, trying to get away, trying to get free. All hope seems lost. But once again, Little Creek, this guy, comes to the rescue, comes out of nowhere, and basically just saves him. And yeah, the next 10-15 minutes is just a series of chases between these two trying to outrun the flames. They escape the flames. Next day, they're being chased by the Americans again, who want to basically exact revenge on these two for the amount of work, progress, finance that they've set them back. So yeah, eventually the two do manage to escape, and the leader of the Americans, this colonel, who basically has been out for them to since they got away. Since they pretty much appeared at the American military encampment, basically like sees what worthy adversaries they are, like has a has like a code of honor moment, and yeah, just basically lets them go to fight another day, whatever. Little Creek and Spirit end up go back to the rest of what's left of the Indian village. There's not much there. Like there's a few teepees and what have you. But they managed to escape the torching that the Americans did of the village, which I mentioned previously. And yeah, basically, Little Creek realizes that there's nothing for Spirit and his mare, who is fully healed, by the way. She's completely fine. They managed to sort the leg out, and yeah, just basically lets them go back to where Spirit came from, so that he can focus on rebuilding his tribe, or like going to going to basically another tribe and trying to start a new life there. So essentially, the movie finishes with Spirit and the mayor Spirit and the mayor going back to his homeland, being reunited with his mother and the rest of the pack, and everyone lives happily ever after. So, that is my favorite DreamWorks Spirit, my review of it. Easily 10 out of 10. If I was able to, I'd go 50, 100 out of 10. It's just phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's amazing. Just leave it at that. Yeah, the music, the set pieces, which I have to say, if I didn't know this movie was made by DreamWorks, I would assume that it was Disney's work, like Walt Disney, Lion King style kind of thing, because it's very different from the style that they use for, say, Shrek or Shark Tale. Like very, very different, very Disney reminiscent style of work. But yeah, the music is done by one of my personal favorite musicians, Bryan Adams. Love his amazing music is in there, and yeah, the story, the characters, just everything flows and fits in together. Now, my review was just a quick rundown of the major details that happens. There's a lot more smaller and finer details that I didn't get into today, so highly recommend you guys get the movie, or if you got it, watch it, rewatch it, whatever. It's amazing piece of cinematography, filmography, and just yeah, everything. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit that like button, comment any thoughts, opinions in the comments below, or if you like this video or any of my other videos, feel free to subscribe. Really helps out, and it just builds up such an amazing community. Alright, that's all I've got time for today. Hope you guys have an amazing day, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you guys are. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.